Cowabunga. Here we are at the Quarterbarrel in Cedar Rapids, playing a wonderful game from everyone's childhood. Well, not everyone's, but most people's childhoods that are watching this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. My brother Matt's Raphael there in the red. And Zach, our friend, is temporarily Donatello, but that doesn't pan out here for too long. And I am Leonardo. You'll see me die a whole bunch in this. It's very sad. Playing this game kind of to show how the animation in the 80s kind of inspired a lot of the way that I draw. Not just for Bad Sushi Cannon, but in general. The first thing I ever tried to draw was the Ninja Turtles. It was a very popular show. All the kids were trying to draw it, and I kind of had a knack for drawing a little bit better than most of the kids did. And a lot of that was because, man, Saturday morning cartoons, that's a thing that a lot of kids don't have now. It was a thing to look forward to. You know, school week was done. You'd get up early in the morning, like earlier than you'd ever want to usually, so you could catch your favorite tunes here. And mine, of course, was the Ninja Turtles. I mean, it was well drawn. The intro of it, like when the cartoon first starts up, the introduction, you see them wonderfully drawn. Their shading, the animation is insanely good. Actually, the entire first season was really good. And the artwork in this game, it's pretty bang on to the cartoon series. Like, everybody looks like they do in the cartoon, except for April O'Neil there. She's never really consistent with anything, how she looks. But pretty soon you see Bebop coming up. I'm sorry, not Bebop, Rocksteady. Bebop's in the second level. Rocksteady looks just like he does in the cartoons, all the same clothing. The way he talks and moves is even pretty much the same. But you can see like the weird mutant. There was like this mutant craze in the late 80s. I mean, there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was Biker Mice from Mars, whatever. They all kind of ripped off the Turtles. The only one that I can think of that didn't rip off the Turtles that were mutants was the Toxic Crusaders, but it's a whole different story. This cartoon series really kind of shines in just about everyone's childhood. See, that artwork is very much like the cartoon series. Loved trying to emulate how it looked, and I think that just kind of stuck with me over the years as I was learning how to draw. So you can see there are some times in Bad Sushi Cannon a few panels or a few pages where it might maybe be reminiscent of a few of the animation stylings of that show. I don't think of anything in particular. Some of the robots, maybe. Some of the wackier looking aliens, mutant creatures. Definitely took some inspiration from... there was like let's say it was like a 5-second animation cell of a guy named Wingnut. In the cartoon, he's there for 5 seconds, and then he's turned back into a normal person to show that the Shredder knows how to turn people back into a human. Wow, I'm really dying in this really bad. I didn't notice until just now. Well, anyways, Wingnut was in there for 5 seconds in the cartoon, and then he had an entire toy made from, I think it was Playmates or Galoob at that point. I think it was Playmates. So yeah, the show was about selling toys. I think everyone knows it by now, but there was a time when, at least in my childhood, when it was about the art of it, the drawing of it was so neat. And incidentally, even though he's not in this game, we tried to hit the biker, we failed, the skater. There was, in the cartoons, a few times, a samurai rabbit from feudal Japan named Usagi Yojimbo. And I didn't know who that was exactly at the time, but it also was very cool and later on really did kind of punctuate how a lot of the Bad Sushi Cannon characters look. This game in particular, it's really violent. I forgot how violent it is until we're looking at it just now. I don't know why ninjas have boomerangs that are purple like that either. It just seems over the top. Nunchucks and turtles I can see, but bright orange ninja suits with purple boomerangs. The stark realism of it is just too much sometimes to handle. Look at that, even the car in the background, and there's Bebop. It's all matched to the actual animation, so It's one of those few games where they really took pains to make it like you feel like you're there. That immersion of it. You know, when I was a kid playing this, I really believed, this is the cartoon, man. This is it. I think the only other one that did that, tried to do that, was the Simpsons game, and that one. I mean, that one's okay, but this is truly the Renaissance. This is the Mona Lisa, or the what's the better art example I can think of that people recognize as like the creme de la creme. It's either the Mona Lisa or the kid peeing in a fountain statue. Whatever you would call that kid, that's what this is. This is definitely the statue taking a pee. And I'm taking a beating. All around.
So the NES version of this had a whole lot more levels, but there were a whole lot more works too. Like, I went straight down to this, but then there was like the winter level they added in for the werewolf guy. There was like an extra level after
Sewer life. This is where the game actually starts to get really cheap. Like I said, you can see some of the stylings in the robots coming up, the little Mousers they're called. If you look at some of the artwork in Cowboy Song, one of the issues, there's a couple places where you can kind of see it looks like an 80s cartoon animation style more than a comic book or even a manga in some areas. It's less Superman and more like Brave Star, I think was his name, or we'd hope you'd think it was Ninja Turtles, because a lot of it comes from. Yep, the old spike against the pizza trick. That's no one gets the pizza tonight. Pizza served cold tonight. Gosh, this game is cheap. Look at that. Look at missiles. Swords, missiles, spikes. Painful. My comic's not this violent, so it's okay. It might take inspiration from the cartoon, but it's nowhere near the levels of ultra violence. Look at that. First degree robocide. All these ninjas are robots, by the way. That's why they explode. They're not people exploding. It's not like ninjas in suicide vests. I guess it's never really explained quite well in the video game. In the cartoon, they say that. It's just turtle on robot violence everywhere. My gosh.
This is Baxter, isn't it? Yeah. Yes.
And now the game just gets weird. Not sure what else to say in this area. This is some guy flying around dropping robot Mousers. He's a scientist, so obviously he's evil. That's why they're hitting him. Down with science, that's what happens. See? Cartoon animation. April elections got April that time. Now that's over. I do want to point out, too, that my not so great, oh, look at that, there's TGRI on the van. I never noticed that before. In the background. Which has something to do with the cartoon, the Ooze. The movie later on, too. I think the cars, though, in this game don't really match the animation style from the cartoons. A lot of the cartoons, like the Turtle Van especially, was very... There was almost no straight lines on that thing. It was all lumpy, curvy. And you can see that later on in the... we get that far in the game where they get in the Turtle Van, they instantly crash it. I think they make about 20 feet worth of progress in the van, and then instantly drive it off of a cliff. There's no apparent reason, other than they hate insurance claims adjusters, I guess. Or they're blowing everything up. Hurting these innocent robot ninjas. Innocent ninjas with guns, machine guns. there's a difference too in this game. That the arcade version, it's superior in just about every way. And there was the home console version that Nintendo had, and it was very pixely, and it didn't have quite the fun of this. And here, instead of the Bebop and Rocksteady team, it's actually the mutant version of Baxter Stockman, the scientist who just blew up, and he's then called the Fly. And it's a very strange choice to switch them out. Never quite sure why they did that. Maybe it's because they couldn't have two of the bosses on the same screen. I don't know. It's always stuck with me how strange it is. It's actually kind of harder with the Fly rather than with these two dudes. Bebop and Rocksteady. Oh. I guess you can see a little bit of Fang in that Bebop too, with the mohawk and the sneakers, the jacket. Oversized dumb laser gun that he can't possibly hit anything with. Hooray, there's the turtle van. That doesn't look like a cartoon much. And weirdness.
That was weird. I don't remember it being that weird. Uncomfortable.
Highway scene. I don't know, the game just gets much more aggravating from here on out. It's a quarter muncher. There we go. The B-52s roll by and almost kill us all. I just say, like, even through the button mashing, it was hard for us to talk because we were concentrating on not dying from like the 20 ninjas on the screen suddenly. Ninjas with nukes, of course. On these little guys here, there's a robot in particular that I've drawn on the Bad Sushi that looks like them. They have the same pop top. I've always thought that was a weird choice for drawing a robot, but it worked in the show. I thought it was neat. It's always kind of stuck with me as a design. Helmet head, I suppose. More violence. See, this is uncalled for. This is kind of what it must be like, going through Michigan at the toll booths. If you don't pay, this is what happens. Powerful stuff. Some of the episodes, like the actual episodes, not talking about the game here, but like some of the episodes in the Turtles show that like really stick with me, because there's a few that you always remember. Besides the Usagi Yojimbo ones, because he's shown up, I think, 2 or 3 times in the old series, the 80s series. There is an episode where the Leatherhead is first introduced. And it's a very, very odd episode. There's a couple times where in that episode, like, they swap colors suddenly, or like the wrong voice comes out of the wrong turtle. That happens in the old cartoons. But the look of the design of that character was pretty unique and pretty strange. It's like I guess what do they call him, Cajun? He was like a Cajun crocodile. Very odd design choices in some of the characters. The Rat King was also odd looking. He like a bag man. It's like some New York bum that they probably saw in real life. And like, he looks like he's interesting. We'll put him as a bad guy. Really, they didn't use like the status quo of designs for some of the characters. I mean, there were some generic ones, of course, but usually they were all very weird looking, kind of insane looking. Obviously, you'd know that they were the bad guys because they look that bizarre. There's an episode where the Shredder gives them these weird pizzas that have these Dimension X monsters on them. They're like little eggs for meatballs, and they're these giant yellow monsters. They look like the xenomorphs from Alien that they've got to fight. the design again, I think they took from just different pop culture things and mixed them around, like the yellow xenomorph. They had a RoboCop cop on there named, not Rex, maybe it was Rex. Generic looking RoboCop thing, but then they also had a toy. I don't know if he was ever in the cartoon, but the Metalhead Turtle, which was like super intricate, strange lines all throughout its head. You know, kind of looked like the Turtles. So you can kind of see where the more bizarre way of drawing might come in if you actually watch the old episodes. This gets less and less like the old episodes now with helicopters and stuff. Now it's more like the toy line that they were selling pretty well. I had all 4 turtles at one time as toys. Here we go. This is the Geico moment. Yep, they cover that. It actually can't turn. The turtle van actually doesn't turn ever. It just goes forward and then down. I'd say the first season of that Turtles was probably the best looking one they did before they did their whole revamp. Sometime in the early 90s to mid 90s, the Turtles completely changed. Animators changed, all that noise. But this is more reminiscent of that first season, how well drawn it looks. I don't know, these aren't like hand-drawn sprites at every turn, but you can just kind of see that it really does. It captures the '89 Turtles. I think this is right before the movie was put out too, which, by the way, was an independent movie, so it's actually one of the best performing independent movies of all time. Turtles movie, so independent stuff works. It works good. More boomerangs, giant purple boomerangs. I've got to look up what those are called in Ninja Talk. It's got to be some kind of special word. Maybe not.
Movie of some kind. If we ever have a movie made of it, it's going to be a Troma movie, obviously. Remember,
We do eventually make it to Krang. We don't do so well. It's another odd-looking, weird, bizarre, alien-looking thing. All of the oddest stuff. So it's probably what captures most people's attention. What were the little things, the neutrinos in the cartoon? They were these horrible teenage wasteland space guys. They had this car. It was like a flying car. They were in the first season too. I didn't like them so much. They all sounded like Elvis for some reason. Rocks. Rock soldiers. This is us starting to fail badly. There's just not enough quarters in the world to get us through all the way to the end. I like to pretend like I was better at this, but I don't think it ever was true. This is just hard. It's a hard game. Boof. Uncalled for.
Them the heroes for in this day and age, who could ask for more? The crime wave is high, with muggins mysterious. All police and detectives are furious, but they can't find the source of this lethally evil force. This is serious, so give me a quarter. I was the witness, give me a reporter. Call Abel O'Neill in on this case, and you better hurry up, there's no time to waste. We need help, right quick, on the double. Have pity on the city, man, it's in trouble. We need heroes like the Lone Ranger. When Tonto came from her, when there was danger, they didn't saw what had happened, but before she knew it, she fell in a trap and got caught. Yeah, she was all alone, with no friends and no phone. Now this was beyond her worst dreams, cause she was caught in by some wayward teen. Headed by Shredder, they were anything but good. Misguided, unloved, they called them the Foot. They could terrorize and be angry youth, and they mugged the people who needed poop. Then out of the dark came an awesome sound. Shot a cowabunga as they hit the ground. From the field of the weeds, the heroes rescued the flower, cause they possessed turtle power. For what you believe in and find the strength to do what's right. That's turtle power. Turtles on a half shell, they're on a mission. When there's a battle, got the enemy wishing that they stayed home instead of fighting. These ninja masters with moves like lightning. They were once normal, but now they're mutants. Splinter's the teacher, so they are the students. Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello make up the team with one of the fellow Raphael.
So there we are at Krang, about to die as per usual. Anybody from the arcades in the 90s know the pain. Unless you had about $30 in quarters, you weren't getting past this. I do like that Krang looks like, again, he's like bang on to the cartoon. And those weird designs that they had, man, they were just kooky. And I guess that's not what I strive to do in the comics when I'm drawing, but I think it kind of shines through just how bizarre the stuff looks. Well, we hope you enjoyed watching us die and fail at this repeatedly. If you want to see the artwork that we do, go ahead and check us out on our Indiegogo campaign. If you look up Bad Sushi Cannon graphic novel, Indiegogo.com, you can go ahead and take a peek at some of our artwork and even score yourself a neat little graphic novel that we've been working on for quite a while. See what we've been talking about, see all the hubbub, what it's about. So we'd appreciate your time, your any contributions you get to us are greatly valued, and we will be here next time. Go ahead and look for our next videos. Follow us on Facebook, Typo Comics Collective. We have a YouTube page at Typo Comics, and we now have a Twitter, also called Typo Comics. So give us a look-see, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, bye.
Hey, it's something. I'm going to take it.
I'm in fourth.
That's right. My initials are ma'am. And his are spam.
Oh, SPD.
It's bad.
Wow.
Winners don't use drugs. Remember that.